3 men got out of the car, none of them saying a word, and all proceeded to put their hands in the air. Police hesitantly walked over to the car and with their pistols poised, opened the boot to reveal... After 4 decades, the Alabama trunk story is still being spoken about to this day. This event happened on the 5th of May 1979 in Birmingham, Alabama. The story wouldn't be complete without the mention of 2 Birmingham News employees, Mark and Jerry. Mark had only been working at Birmingham News for a matter of weeks and was still completing his internship. Jerry was a veteran photographer for the news. So we've got Mark and Jerry. Okay, we follow that. The morning of the 5th started like any other, although reports have claimed that the weather was a little bit colder than usual for a May morning in Alabama. Irrelevant. At approximately 7:45 a.m., Mark, the intern, had just arrived at his desk when murmurs of a strange ongoing event in the city started to whisper through the office. Around an hour before Mark had begun working, a number of calls had reached the office about a strange sight being seen on the roads of Alabama, but as per the case with any news office, prank calls had been common. The first reported call was from a young woman panicking at 6 in the morning, claiming that she'd heard a male scream from a car while sitting alongside it in traffic. She turned off her radio and wound down her window, but could only just hear the faint muffled scream. She called the emergency services, who encouraged her to carry on with her day due to the lack of information. The unnamed lady reportedly told the news hours later that at first she thought it could have been her mind playing tricks on her due to her lack of sleep the night before and the early start. That's when too many similar calls started coming in for Mark to ignore them anymore. Call after call started to report that they had seen a human hand hanging out the back of an old beat-up Dodge, which was a popular car at the time. The 2 reporters debated for a short time about what this could be and eventually assumed that it would be that of an old glove caught in the boot of a car, sort of waving in the wind, if you like. However, after a short time, calls started to flood in more and more, saying that the hand was in fact moving and that the finger seemed to bend upwards, almost as if to try and signal to other cars. But could these reports be true? Was it a big prank? Why would the car be driving for what seemed like hours with such an obvious red flag hanging out of the back? It wasn't a red flag, it was a hand. Mark and Jerry decided that it had all become too real, and with little information on the exact car in question, headed out onto the Alabama interstate to look for themselves. They drove around for around 45 minutes with no luck. White Dodge after white Dodge passed, but no hand. Meanwhile, calls continued to flood in about the hand in the trunk. Then it happened. A white Dodge swerved out of an airport boulevard and began to speed off through the neighborhood, as it was clear the driver knew that they had started to have been followed by a number of intrigued civilians. Mark and Jerry began swerving the Dodge as soon as they could and began to follow the car for a considerable amount of time, with Mark at one point getting so close to the car that Jerry from the passenger seat could snap photos because he was a photographer. It was clear the reports were true. A hand was protruding from the boot, and you can actually see this. That's the famous image now, the hand in the trunk. During the chase, Mark was on call to the chief editor at Birmingham News, relaying all of his information on the unfolding drama that they were now a part of. What was the story of the hand in the boot? Was it a kid messing around? Was it a big prank? Or was it something more sinister? Discuss.
So they didn't ever stop the car?
There's an outcome. There's a conundrum to this. Is conundrum the word?
Depends. It's a word.
There is an outcome to this, but I want you guys to kind of like float around the idea of...
Well, I'm guessing there's someone in the boot.
Well, yeah, Stevie. But was it a kid messing about? Was it like... Is there like a plausible explanation to this? Are they in trouble? Are they in danger?
If it's been hours, is it not like a kidnapping of some sort?
Okay.
Like, messing about is one thing, but for reports to be coming in for hours at a time, for a few hours, you're not going to be doing that for that long, are you? It's a funny joke for an hour.
For an hour? If you put me in the boot for an hour, I'd be fuming. It's a funny joke for 5 minutes.
5 minutes? 10 seconds, I'd be all right with me.
That's one car.
I don't know if I told this story on the pod, but I met my other neighbours the other day from down the way, and he was like a large fella, like looked quite friendly. And when we went out and saw him, he had 2 of his kids in the boot of his car, and the boot was up. And I went, "Hiya," and his kids went, "Ah," and said something. And he went, "Hiya," and he went, "Sorry, I don't normally have my kids in the boot like that." I thought, what a brilliant time to meet your new neighbours. He could be a murderer. I don't know, but they seem all right. I haven't seen him since, but I've seen him.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
What
well,
do you reckon, then, Rob?
fucking students mucking around, probably.
You reckon?
Can we see
Oh,
the
I
picture
dunno.
of the hand in the boot?
Yeah, can we get that up, please, Katie? You can literally just put the hand in the trunk, and it's a popular story now. I mean, it's not a story; it's true. Like, you see that hand there?
Well, that's quite clearly a hand, isn't it? There's
Yeah.
fingernails on it. I'm confused. Why would the boot not just open?
Yeah, you'd think the hand might be able to flick the latch.
Well, if it's open that much already, surely it would open the rest of the way.
Yeah, okay, I'll tell you what it is. So after a short chase, police managed to pull the car over rather more calmly than expected due to the reluctance of the driver. 3 men got out of the car, none of them saying a word, and all proceeded to put their hands in the air. The driver, Robin Green, was 24 years old. He was with Joseph Fendley, who was 27, and his uncle Wilburn Fendley, who was 49. The police hesitantly walked over to the car and with their pistols poised, opened the boot to reveal a 4th man. He appeared to be drowsy, badly beaten and covered in blood. The man went by the name of Collier. I don't know if that's his first name or his surname. That was all I could really find.
They got one name like Pele,
Yeah, Cher.
Madonna.
Has Cher got one name?
Share, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Cher Lloyd isn't.
All right, that's what I was
Cher,
thinking of,
yeah.
Cher Lloyd. Yeah. Cher went on to...
It was fucking Cher
I
in the
can't
boot.
believe they had share in the boot. I was never
Oh.
expecting
She's got
that.
out. Do you believe?
If only she could turn back time.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Good, now we're popping. Collier went on to tell the police about how he'd met the 3 men in a bar. What?
just got share in my head now.
Yeah.
It's just her
I've got
going,
with the big hair.
no matter how
I
hard I
am-
tried,
And the fucking aircraft
they kept
carrier,
pushing
like-
me inside. It works, yes.
Oh, God. He went to tell the police about how he'd met the 3 men in a bar in Bessemer the night before. They robbed him of his $350 disability check, beat him up, stabbing him with a screwdriver before they tied his legs and forced him into the trunk. As the 3 men were driving him around in a journey that lasted over 14 hours, Collier said that he had to fight hard to stay awake due to the amount of carbon monoxide coming from the motor. Collier said that he was able to slip his hand through a gap in a rubber seal at the lip of the trunk to try and wave to motorists and passers-by. Collier also went on to say that during the journey, he repeatedly heard the 3 men discuss where to dump his body. I'd made my peace at this time, Collier told the reporters. This is the weird bit, right? So it's not like this has got a conclusion. We know about this,
The
right?
14 hours is the bit I'm a bit.
I think they drove from state to state because they wanted to drop his body off and then not be as sus back from where they're
I
from.
guess, yeah, in America, 14 hours isn't actually that far.
Nah, they do that for a laugh.
with a body in the back.
With Cher in the back.
Yeah.
No, this is the bit that I couldn't find on the 2 websites that I looked at. Someone out there could probably find this with a little bit more research. But from what I could tell, it's unclear what happened to the 3 men after this, right? So they got arrested, but no court records show any charges towards the 3 men. Like, there's no court records of it. I tried 2 websites. Were they going to kill Collier? What and where are they today? I guess is the mystery. But apparently, when the police got him and asked what he like, how can we help you? Like, where should we take you? What do you want? What do you think he requested?
Could I go back in the boot?
Stockholm
Stockholm
syndrome. Yeah, cigarette.
Cigarette.
That's all he wanted. Cigarette.
And a front row seat to see Cher live.
You know, he already had that. He was with her in there. He went, my mate's here. She came out. What would you do if you was driving along and saw a little hand out the boot like
The
that?
photo's good. I wasn't expecting the photo to be that good.
In it, I know.
Yeah.
It's like you see CCTV footage of like big pressing cases we need to solve today, and they look grainier than
Yeah.
that. I know that's obviously a real camera,
That's, that's a solid photo, and it's very, very clear what it is as well.
and it's
I'd give it a little high five.
carry on, son. Off you go.
I entered the address into my browser and I came
Creepypasta.
to a site that was completely black except for a line of yellow text, a download link. I clicked on it and a file started downloading.